It's not some set curriculum that you're going to go through a lesson plan. It is a facilitated experience because it is the conversations that we need to have and then figuring out the application of those conversations. When we bring that together with creative practices, we can swirl together beautiful social change and figure out how we can pour it into our cup each morning as we set out on our course. I'm Jonny Stax. I live out here in Cedar County, just outside of Iowa City, and we are working with our partner ArtForce Iowa to do a J.E.D.I youth worker training the next few weeks. This stands for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Intersectionality. We're really dedicated to reaching youth beyond the margins. So when we talk about marginalized youth, we oftentimes don't talk about refugee, immigrant, incarcerated, homeless, hospitalized youth. And so we're really hoping to be able to reach them. And to do so, we really want to then reach marginalized youth workers who oftentimes, Black youth workers in organizations oftentimes are disposable, they're dismissed, and they're just going to move on, and they didn't even have decision-making power in their own organization. So we want to design this youth worker training not just for people who have dominant or privileged identities, but really shape it around marginalized identities. So we will actually be having 3 different streams of learning. There'll be some for the white folks, some for the Black folks, and some for the non-Black people of color, because there is such a different journey that needs to happen. There's so much more healing and restoration that needs to happen the further you get from the center, and the closer you are to the center, there's more we need to realize about the world that we lived in isn't quite what we understood it to be. And so ArtForce Iowa and Jonny Stax Creations, as well as all of our playmates like Diviin Javaan, seized on this opportunity to create this J.E.D.I youth worker training.
My name is Diviin Javaan. My background is in applied drama and theater for the young. I have my master's in that. The applied drama in my background really made me want to tell stories and gather stories from people so that they know that their stories are important and that they know that their stories are worth sharing, if even on a small scale. Even if you don't want to just tell the whole world everything, you can come to one of these trainings and have it be, this safe space where you can just share your experiences and people can learn from your value that you bring to the table. So it's just a space for transformation. It's a space for ownership. It's a space for healing and empowerment.
Art has the opportunity to transform and shift perspective in ways that traditional education might not be able to, and just general facilitated experiences might not be able to. So we believe that if we can use art to be able to shift that perspective and use art making with the participants, it can unleash things within them and understandings within them that they might not be able to access otherwise. And we recognize that we have not centered Black artists in this society, so our training will center Black artists throughout the whole process. As well, the power of art is to be able to give some time to just breathe and settle as we deal with maybe difficult topics. And so we'll be using art both for healing as well as for transformation.
And when we focus on the things that we're good at, and also look at the things that make us a little bit afraid, we can kind of decide where we're supposed to be in life and how we're supposed to help ourselves evolve past that fear and help other people evolve past their fear as well, so that we can all just be authentic and just be true to ourselves. It feels like that's the most important thing, is to give people agency to just be who they are, no matter what, no matter their circumstances, especially when they're marginalized, because it's an extra circumstance on top of a circumstance.
And I think it's really important that we recognize that what we do within our organizations is part of the larger history of society. So we are either in support of justice movements or we continue to perpetuate an unjust society. So that is the piece of justice that we focus on. As we seek to cultivate diversity, if there's not equitable participation within those groups, then we lose that diversity and it becomes very disingenuous as we bring diverse folks in. The D obviously then stands for diversity. And this is being able to really not just manage and navigate difference, but really celebrate it and cultivate it as the gifts that we actually bring into the room together. And then instead of inclusion, because too often, I don't know, whenever I feel included, I've had to check part of myself at the door to feel included. So we talk about intersectionality, and that we are affected by so many different intersections of our identities and so many intersections of oppression and privilege in our own bodies. And really the reason we do this is because when we meet at the intersections of society or our offices or our communities, that's when we need to agree to some common practices that will cultivate justice, elevate equity as a core value, and really cultivate diversity in our society. This training is made for anyone who has influence over youth's experience in our society. So if you have any interest at all and you've got some time to be able to participate in the sessions that are April 14th from 10 to 2:30 and April 28th from 10 to 2:30, then you can go to artforceiowa.org/J.E.D.I and you can apply. Even if you may not be from a marginalized experience or serving youth beyond the margins, we also just want to hear from youth workers, artists, and educators who want this kind of training, because this is just the beginning. We need in Iowa to figure out what is ongoing J.E.D.I training and practice and learning that can be able to let us stay on this course, because we're not going to be done. It's not going to be done ever. This work is always going to be work that we're going to be doing, and it can be joyful, it can be integrated into our lives. And so we need to figure out how do we create this ongoing training program. So this is just the beginning.
This program is for artists that want to connect with other artists. It's for artists that want to connect with marginalized youth and bring their art to these youth. Is also for any artist that wants to put their art into the long haul of justice. It's a time for self-reflection. It's a time for healing, but it's also just a time for conversation between people, because that's how we break down these barriers and let people remember that the one race is human race, right? That humans deserve rights. And until Black and brown bodies get their rights fully, then everybody can't be free. So it's starting from the grassroots, where we can start small and then maybe make it bigger and bigger and bigger. And people are just finding it trendy now to be anti-racist. And I think that would be the best thing ever. Yeah, be anti-racist.